What's going on, YouTube? Wanted to bring you another video about a quick, silly update that I have for my lock and load. If you are not familiar with the lock and load, hopefully you all are. This is a stock lock and load made in the 90s, I believe. This one I was able to buy. It was very lucky that a local buyer was selling this, jumped on it, and this is in absolute perfect condition. Even has the flip up light. The only thing that this does not have is there is an orange dart holder that clips on at the bottom here, but other than that, everything is perfect on this lock and load. So if you're not familiar with the previous modifications that I've done to a lock and load, basically when I saw this, this top slide would be removed. There is a priming handle here in the back. People would sometimes put a key ring, and this was loaded by a ramrod and the barrel was removed, or they would shove a piece of brass down the barrel to make a tighter fit. And that was pretty much the blaster itself. It had a great profile, a nice fit, and people loved it. I was lucky enough at the time to find two lock and loads that were local to me, and I said, what is a better way to load this blaster? Having a ramrod just seemed kind of silly. Sticking your finger down the barrel, especially with the brass. I don't know about most people, but sticking my finger down the brass, I would always cut myself somehow, some way. So I just said there had to be a better way. Breeches were becoming a little bit popular at the time, and so what if I could create a breech into this lock and load? Hopefully I won't destroy the blaster, and I was lucky enough to be able to create one out of brass, and that worked out really well. It got a lot of positive reviews. People really liked it. And then I was able to make a second one, nesting CPVC inside a PVC sheath for the barrel. And then after that, made some more updates, and instead of using a key ring for the priming handle, I actually, out of some more plastic, I think it was Delrin, I'm not exactly sure, I made an actual priming handle that you could grab instead of that tricky key ring. And that was it. A lot of the people, normally, when you prime this, there are these ridges along the side here that keep this slide together. Those usually are sanded off, filed off, so it's nice and smooth. And again, you know, a really fun, great blaster to have. So how can that be improved? What else could you do to the lock and load? Well, when I first started getting into 3D printing, one of the things I wanted to try was to recreate this trigger. I had a lock and load shell. It was completely busted, but it didn't have this trigger. So I said, hey, perfect opportunity to try and recreate the trigger. So got all my measurements, used my calipers, did up some designs, printed it out, and I've got a working trigger. Great. And left that project alone for a while. As I started printing and getting into different color filaments and everything, I said, ooh, there is a green color that I was using for a while that I said matched pretty close to this green. And I said, what if I could create a top-loading lock and load with a prime or a slider that you could open and prime that was this color and kind of make it all updated and new. And so I started working on that, ran into some issues, and then pop, the MK2 comes out, and it just kind of was like, oh well, I'll let that just kind of fall by the wayside, and didn't really think about it. The other day I was kind of just mulling over this whole thing again, and I said, well, why not make cosmetic changes to my lock and loads. So I started designing and started putting things together. I realized that I'm terrible at designing blasters and shapes and all the little doodads and whatnots on a blaster. I tried a bunch of different things. They were all terrible. Please don't ask me to show you them. But I found a blaster on Thingiverse. I like the design, so I reused a bunch of the elements from that, made in some of my own. I tried to put in smaller elements from the original blaster design into that. I sometimes, when I'm trying to put things and fit things together, I get so close into the details that I don't realize how small or how big something is until I print it out. I'm like, oh, that should have been like 3 times bigger and probably would have been better. But this is what I've got. I'm really proud of it. I think it's fun. Again, totally cosmetic, but I want to introduce you to the Lock and Load 2.0. So obviously this is not the same color green or neon yellow that is in the original. The original filament that I had was older. It didn't work. It was stringing. I couldn't get it working. So, this is what I had. I do like this. I might in the future get a filament that matches more closely to the original color. But for the time being, I really love this. This looks very cool. So obviously you've got the green slide up top. Obviously much different than the original. Kind of some of the parts that I wanted to keep were, this piece here, or this design element right here, kind of that small swoop. And you've got this and these side pieces, which kind of match that. So not exactly the same, but I wanted to just definitely put in some pieces in there that were original. Also, into this 2.0, you've got the trigger. This is the one that I had designed. Obviously, so it's going to be a little bit different since in the original, this is a clear orange plastic. This is more of a orange, fluorescent orange color. And then you've got the front. So as I said before, this came with a dart holder. It was an orange color similar to like all the other orange here on the blaster. In my updated one, you've got the Picatinny rail, which is nice and solid on there. It is not moving anywhere. Slap on your attachments and you are ready to go. So everything about this is exactly the same as the blaster I had designed. This is just a shell. So this is the original blaster that I had designed and modded up. And this just fits on top. And obviously I have 2 because these were the 2 blasters that I had. This one with the PVC barrel, this one with the brass. But again, exactly the same with the trigger, with the slide, and the Picatinny rail. So this was a really fun project to do. Again, because I'm so bad at designing, or at least I am not the best at designing. I hope to get better, but it was fun to be able to just get this up real quick and get this working. And, again, love the colors on it. I love that it's now bright and playful, like all Nerf should be. And so I've got myself some Lock and Load 2.0s. Really proud of these, really happy that I have these in my collection. And if you have questions or want to let me know anything, please put those down in the comments. I guess please like and subscribe as well. Anyway, that's all I have. We'll see you guys later. Yeah.